Oh, big boy.
It's coming. It's coming. Here we
Yeah,
go.
waiting. Go Facebook. Go Face. It says live on Facebook on my end.
All right. We're getting it in
Hey.
here. Let me go back here. All right. Cool. Hey, so welcome to. I don't know if this is going to be a podcast episode, to be honest, but for everybody that's in the Hard to Kill Facebook group, welcome as people steadily stream in, if at all. I know it's lunchtime, so this is just working man's schedule with kids. It's the best time we can cram it in. But the point of today is to sit down with my main man, Pat Burkhard, who first guest on the podcast, man, way back when. It seemed like a lifetime ago.
I know.
And
Sitting in
I
the
know.
gym, you know, the
Sitting in the gym, no audio equipment.
Still figuring out what the heck was going on.
Episode 1, folks, if you want to hear the progression of where we were to where we are now. Yeah, so Pat was gracious enough to sit down on the first episode and chat about general preparedness training, and just he's got a lot of stuff in his brain that needs to be part of our community. So this is the official launch of a series of blog posts that are going to be coming out through the Hard to Kill blog. Pat's going to be one of our contributors along with 2 others, and we're going to do something similar in the near future with those other 2 writers as well, because Pat has a unique skill set and a ton of experience, and just having occasional kind of interactions is not enough. We need more of you, Pat. We need this brain of yours to be dropping knowledge bombs on the regular. So if you could just give us a brief idea of what topics you're going to be covering in the near future, so that, you know, the members of the community can get a better idea of, you know, what you're all about and what you're going to be able to dig into.
Yeah, so my background started largely with a lot of where the classical inlays for most people coming in the strength world is learning kind of bodybuilding techniques and what you're going to see in your average gym. And the space I have now, I always laugh when people come in off the street because they come in and say, "Oh, can I take a look?" I say, "Sure, no problem." And as soon as they walk in, they kind of look a bit puzzled and they say, "Oh yeah, we're not your average gym. You know, we don't have machines around. We have a lot of different tools." And if you look at the way that I train now and the way that I train a lot of athletes, and even, you know, our regular common folks that maybe are tactical athletes or people that work, you know, just a regular 9 to 5 job, it's through that kind of lens of the unconventional. So I play a lot with Indian clubs, with maces, with kettlebells, Atlas stones, strongman equipment, you know, gymnastics rings, and this kind of thing. So for me, it's really the prism of going, all right, we take our classical strength training approach. How are we going to make that more adapted with the different tools that we have, and to really adapt to the needs of our population these days? And this is where unconventional training, that idea of kind of filling the voids and filling these gaps in your training, is going to be very beneficial. So if you have, you know, access, you're on base or on somewhere else, you have access to a barbell, a bench press. Excellent. You can do a lot with that. But what other little piece of equipment, maybe swinging some light Indian clubs, can help with your joint mobility? You know, where can a mace fit in to bring some rotational training in? Even if you're a football player, you're a different type of athlete. Where are we going to help kind of plug those holes and build this robust athlete?
Love it. So you touched on a few things, namely like being generally prepared, like for a tactical athlete, just like filling in holes, filling in gaps. You know, with your experience, what do you feel are some of the holes that somebody in our line of work would potentially need working on to fill those gaps?
Yeah, one of the major things, if we look at this idea of 3 planes of motion, and if you've never heard of this before, you can think of, okay, I'm moving forwards, I'm moving sideways or laterally, and then I'm going to do rotational work. And most people, the way they train is in what we call the sagittal plane. So all the strict forward motion stuff. You know, my feet are squarely planted in a squat rack. I'm doing work there. This is fantastic. I love heavy deadlifts. Yesterday was bench day. This makes 16-year-old Pat very, very excited. I love it. However, what is going to make sure that when I'm carrying a load and I'm off balance or I need to pick something up, that I'm going to have the stability and necessary strength to do that? That if I have this unbalanced load, that I'm carrying something on my shoulder, I have the stability that I can rotate, I can twist, I can move through all those different planes of motion. So that's the one thing that I see a lot of people. If you look at your training plan, and you okay, today I'm doing 10 exercises. How many of those are in that kind of forward motion? How many of those are moving sideways? And how many of those are rotating? And in each motion that we sort of touch upon, one of those, rotate, forward, lateral, you're going to hit different muscle chains. You're going to hit different muscles differently. And it's one of those things that we often say in the gym is that there's only really 5 types of movement: squat, hinge, push, pull, carry, right? And carry, you can talk about maybe anti-rotation work. So you can think of a plank or something like that with that same kind of stability work. But any movement of fitness is really a derivative of one of these 5 types of movement. So good way to base this is think about doing the same movement, but in a multitude of ways. So I can deadlift with a barbell. I can do single leg deadlifts, body weight. I can work with a kettlebell. If I hold a mace and kind of have this offset weight where I'm going to have a lot of weight on one side, how am I going to execute the same movement and it's going to affect my body differently? So I think just giving people a greater diversity in terms of their training is an element that's missing.
Solid, man. So when it comes to, topics that come to mind, obviously you've got a lot of experience. You've been in the game for a long time. What are some topics that you're kind of curious about and are thinking about sharing early on with your post?
So first thing is this idea of the balanced athlete. So not only having, a lot of people, they emphasize maybe strength or endurance, but where does your mobility come in? Where does your stability come in? Where does your strength endurance come in? It's one thing that I can go run a 5K or a 10K, okay, but can you go on that long ruck? You can deadlift 300 pounds twice. That's great. Okay. How much can you deadlift 100 pounds? How many repetitions can you put in? So where are, sort of within this, those different ideas of building out the robustness in the training, having all those different elements, and make sure that you're touching on all of them within your programming, and make sure that we're prioritizing what actually needs to be prioritized. If you're coming in and you're 250 pounds and you're a solid rock, maybe we don't need to focus so much on your strength. Maybe we need to evaluate, is your stability there? Checking in your endurance. So building out balance and how to even evaluate that. What's a good starting point of how to look at, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses? And is your training just reinforcing all of our strengths? Because, most of us, we head into the gym, we like to train those things that we're good at, right? But how can we bridge that gap and bring some things in that are going to help balance you out? Another one of those elements is, what are the little things that we can do on a daily basis that we can kind of have habits that we can stack that's going to bring us results down the way. So maybe, I know it's not sexy to go spend an hour in the gym stretching or working on your mobility work, but if we can have 10 minutes of targeted work every day, if we add that up, okay, is that going to make a difference in terms of opening up my overhead position a little more, or helping that wonky hip, on the left side to start to unlock and get a little bit more movement and bring balance, through the body, and therefore be able to perform better.
Love it, man. All of that. Make sure that's in there. Like all of it.
Oh, the wheels are turning. And as you see, like a lot of these concepts and what I want to bring are very much linked and related. And, this is a broad concept, just that idea of I always talk about pushing those different boulders up the hill and trying to find the balance in our training between our strength, between our endurance, between our mobility, flexibility, stability. So, this can be a very broad thing to look at, but I really want to be able to help people to evaluate, okay, where am I lacking in my training? What are some benchmarks that I can look to attain? What are some things to pay attention to that maybe I haven't thought about, in terms of my training, and even a different prism? There's a lot of people that are out there really grinding the axe and working hard, but, that idea of work smart, not hard, and bringing longevity to the training. I could go destroy myself in the gym and be really beat up, and I could get some gains through this process. But how can I do it in a way that's going to be smart, that's going to set me up that I can continue down the road for years to come? And that 1 or 2 years into hard training, I don't have to take 6 months off because I've just ruined my joint.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially for guys like us that are pushing 40, right? We're we're getting closer and closer to that doom, right? Oh my God, I'm 40. But you know what? Just like because I'm close to 40, I think I'm taking much better care of myself and I feel better. And it's from concepts that you're talking about here. And, you know, having trained with you in your gym, I've definitely incorporated a lot of that stuff as well. So I think this was a great teaser for what's to come. And for everybody that's listening and that will listen, if you want to be the first to get to read anything that comes out of the Hard to Kill blog, head to the link that's posted in the video here. It's just at the bottom. It's at davemorrow.net/hard to kill blog. Don't worry, there's going to be lots more posts coming in the future. And Pat, I really appreciate you deciding to come on board and be a contributor. Like I said, man, there's way too much information in that brain of yours to just be sitting there not helping out the community. So yeah, man, whatever you come up with is going to be pure solid gold, and I think people are really going to latch onto it and you know, get some real value from it.
Yeah, I'm very excited that you approached me with this, Dave, and you know you've built an incredible thing, and just to see how your listeners and the people that have kind of been attracted to your tribe here and the engagement. I love it. Fires me up. And, I put it out there to everyone, to all of your people is, I do a lot of unconventional training, kettlebells, maces, all these things. So beyond these ideas and concepts I've talked about, if anybody does have any, specific questions or things they'd like me to touch upon, feel free to comment here. I'm definitely open to sharing my experience and knowledge and, help everybody to be better athletes, better movers, and better professionals.
Awesome, Pat. Really appreciate it. We'll drop that information, for you in the post here, and we'll be sure to, get that information out on the blog as well. So really appreciate sitting down and taking a few minutes to tease out what's going to be coming down the pipe. So have a good rest of the day, bro, and we'll chat soon. All right.
All right. Peace.
Bye, bro.